Welcome back to another deck profile. However, this deck profile is going to be a little bit more different. As you see, I have things a little bit different here. Mainly, this is more of a deck update. So, with that being said, this is Decks of the Night Deck 1. This used to be the Phantasm Spyro deck, but after some decisions, some thoughts, I decided to make it into a different deck, and that is because of the card Yumi, or as you guys would know it, as a Legendary Ocean, aka the Kairyu-Shin deck. You probably saw it on the thumbnail. I'm making the video first before I make any of that stuff. But yes, this is the Yumi slash Leviathan deck. Now, I do want to give a reason why I switched. So, before we get into the deck profile of what I've come up with currently, this deck is actually based on the deck I played and used when I played Duelist of the Roses as a child. I had a Maiden of the Aqua deck, and I was using Kairyu-Shin as a big beat stick. I'm pretty sure I switched them out though, and was using Kairyu-Shin as the deck leader because he made my water monsters go further in the ocean, and it was a lot of fun as a kid. I really liked it, really resonated with it. And the original intent for the first deck of the night is for the opposite of the cosmos, and it would be the ocean. It's kind of hard to explain the reasoning as to why this is the first deck of the night, but ocean, waves, moon, all this stuff, nighttime, it's all kind of together. You have the greater void, you have the micro void, and these are concepts that are like connected, but I don't know how to voice it and say that these are. However, besides that, the Maiden of the Aqua deck is what I chose as a child when I input my name into that game, even though I've had a fear of the ocean, which is kind of funny. It's more so things that live in the ocean and not so much body of water. Though it kind of can be, if you're out in the ocean, in the middle of nowhere, that can absolutely be horrifying as well if you're just stranded. With all that being said, this is the field center, and this is also the card sleeves that I use for the deck. And these ones are actually called Abyss. I wasn't too sure if it meant water abyss or whatnot, but it does look water attributed, but it is just called Abyss. And it is, boom, the Emperor Penguin from, comment your guesses right now in the comment sections. 3, 2, 1, Kimono Friends. I probably mispronounced that. So we're going to start off this deck profile with a card that I think should be run at 3. I have playtested this deck, I've tried some things out, and of course, as always, this is a pure deck, and it's kind of hard to mix the currents of the sea together. You have one current this way, one current this way, one current going this way, another current going over here, and you can't really mix up these currents in the ocean. You can try to, and they kind of do overlap, but at the end of the day, it's just best to stick to your own current. So with that being said, 3 copies of Kairyu-Shin. So I just want to also continue talking about the reasons why I decided to switch decks, and it is because of the fact that even though thematically Phantasm Spyro really reflected my soul, this deck reflects something else. And also, deck 1 was supposed to be a tribute deck. All the boss monsters of the Yumi archetypes that are pure Yumi archetypes, I'm not going to get into like the mermaids or anything like that, those 3 monsters require tributes of some sort, so they keep the tribute element, even though one of them you can just cheat out, being Phantasm Spyro. So his name is Ocean Dragon Lord, and we're just going to stop right there. Ocean Dragon Lord, it actually means sea dragon god. So sea and oceans, you know, you can kind of switch them out here and there. Dragon stayed the same, and then Lord from God. So it's about roughly the same, but he's basically a sea god or a sea lord. And Kairyu-Shin is not actually his real name. Kairyu-Shin means Leviathan. And if you see how he looks, I mean, he does really depict a Leviathan. So the deck's theming is based around a tribute summon mechanic while also being Leviathan base. Those are like the main themes of the first deck of the night. So with that being said, 3 monsters can fill this role. Him, obviously Kairyu-Shin, Neo Daedalus, or just Daedalus, and Phantasm Spiral Dragon. However, I decided I would go with him because his support supports one of the best trap cards. Now, if they make newer support for the Yumi type of decks with more of a 1-card combo and it happens to be Daedalus, maybe I'll switch over to Daedalus. I'm not too sure because I'm looking for the deck that can tribute summon and also be about a big sea creature, a Leviathan. So that's why all 3 of those monsters fit the criteria, and if you're using him, specifically this Leviathan, you're going to use the cards that center around him, which would be, of course, the Meiko Tsunami cards. However, I do want to point something out. Meiko Tsunami does not technically use Leviathan, as in, this is not his ace card, because he drops this card during Season 2 for the Legendary Fisherman. So if you make a Fisherman Yumi deck instead, that's more of a Meiko Tsunami deck. And that's what I have to say about that. Since he did drop this card. Now, had we had a duel with him using this and the Legendary Fisherman, I would understand that. I should also note that this deck is played at a different ratio. So it is 3 Kairyu-Shins, 3 Warrior of Atlantis. So that looks a little weird. But Warrior of Atlantis is only here to fetch the field spell. I don't know how I feel about this card at 3, but you kind of see why it's at 3. It needs a lot of room to be filled. Like, he needs like 2 more effects to help the deck out to be justified at running at 3. The next card is Electric Jellyfish. He is a monster that spell negate if Yumi's on the field. Really good card. And he also sends Yumi, he just chucks Yumi to the graveyard to set up a Sea Stealth play. The other card that was in the Phantasm Spiral build, but also in this deck, is none other than Fish Sonar. So currently right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 playsets. I either make decks with 5 playsets or 7 playsets. If it's a control based deck, I usually go for 7. If it's more of a want to go second type of deck, it's a 5 playset. It's just how I do things. Maybe it'll change depending on the deck, but so far from dueling and testing, that seems how it looks like that's how it kind of wants to work. So with this deck, I do believe it's a 7 playset deck. Another good card is Pot of Extravagance. This deck does not care about the extra deck whatsoever. You can make it care about the extra deck, but there's not that many good cards too, and he's really the end-all be-all, really. So, I mean, I think all you need is really him. So, I really wish this deck had a 1-card combo. It does not. It really, really needs it for the setup, and I don't think this is on the priority list until maybe, who knows, years from now. The next card is, of course, the Yumi, and this is the Yumi I did get. There's no other higher rarity besides this Yumi, but it was clean and crisp, so I do like that. So as you can see, the ratios are 4 and then 2 right here, so this is 6, and this is the last 3 of. I really wanted this card at 3, and that would be Kairyu-Shin's Dark Reef at 3. So these are the 3 ofs. So Kairyu-Shin's Dark Reef, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the whole bread and butter of the deck. I would, if I could, remove this, and then maybe the pot card for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But this deck really needs ways to start up. You need to drop this, and of course your opponent may just draw you if you do that. So it is extremely hard to play in a competitive sense. The last time I did take this deck to locals, I bricked and I had a mulligan, and I bricked and then I had a mulligan. In that order, it happened to me multiple times, and it was super bad. And also, this card, as good as it is, can be ashed, and they will ash it. So you need to play like a designator, you need to play a Called by the Grave. But with that being said, that was the deck. But there are a bunch of 1-ofs and 2-ofs I gotta go over. So, put that to the side. I only want to play 2 cards at 2, and those 2 cards are Sea Stealth 2 and Sea Stealth Attack. If I open with them, it's not that big of a deal. Technically, these are the end cards that you want to go into, or at least this one is. I really wish Cradle Well had Yumi in its name, because that would be so good for the deck. I think they need to retrain a lot more monsters and just, you know what I mean, just help it out. I understand it's a floodgate strategy and it's no fun, but still, it's still an early Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetype, or theme at least, and I think they should redo some more cards. Sea Stealth Attack is also another card I used in the Spiral Serpent archetype. And it's kind of the reason why I changed decks, because Phantasm Spiral wants you to destroy monsters and make you win, and I'm not too sure how that would be possible. Maybe it's more of a go first, turn 3 type of deck, something like Tachyon where you OTK on the 3rd turn. But they needed more support to just help them do their win con, or to even do certain stuff. So you had to play more of a more as a stun strategy, and I wanted a control strategy, not just a blowout stun strategy. So Sea Stealth Attack helps you actually control the board, and it's really cool because of another card that actually helps you go for game on turn 3. Before we get into that though, this is treated as Yumi, and it has some utility. I don't think this card is good at all, but you do have to play it. And the only reason why I don't think this card is good is because if it's in your hand, it's just 2 bricks. This card would be phenomenal if and only if this deck had more searchers to search out cards. And that's kind of the truth. I personally don't think cards are good or bad. I think they only have use cases, really. And if it's not in your use case, it's bad. And in this situation, the use case is bad for this card. I do like this card. Do not get me wrong. When you activate it, it is another Yumi. Makes all your cards live. You can send the legendary Ocean away with Kairyu-Shin's Dark Reef, and then be fine because this is still Yumi on the field. This helps bring back resources. You could banish them to get them back. It's really cool. It's just that this deck needs an engine to actually help play. The next set of cards are all cards I play at 1 of, and then we'll get into the tech cards. Yes, that's how small the engine, the core of the deck is, and it is surprisingly the OG Kairyu-Shin. I do really want that fish, that Terror King Salmon. I don't know why, ever since I saw him in the OCG, I don't know if it was a real OCG product, it could have been a fake one, but they had Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and my sister got me a deck from Mexico. It was really random, and Terror King Salmon was in there as a card. I think it had Merrick on it. I don't know if it was real or fake, probably fake, but I remember Terror King Salmon and thinking, I really like this card. I don't know why. And if you watch Mako, they do not have a Great White as a shark. Now, I think the cool thing about the Leviathan or Yumi archetype that he used is that technically all the cards in it are actually Leviathans. So this is a Sea Serpent Leviathan or a Sea Dragon Leviathan. The Great White, of course, would be the Megalodon, and it's actually called Megalodon. But they They made him in Season 2 use the Great White, um, which is a card that came in Yugi Structure Deck, because that's actually a card Yugi used in the manga. So it's technically a Yugi card. Um, but in the anime, he did actually play a shark that kind of looked like black. Was it Black Man-Eating Shark? And that's, of course, a fusion monster. But it was a level 5, again, with a tribute theme. And Kairyu-Shin was also there. Of course, there's another card in here that's a retrain of one of those monsters from the first duel. And I'll show you, I'll break, I have this in order, but I'll just break it. It's actually right here. And that was actually Doom Kraken, or Fiend Kraken. Again, Kraken, another, I was going to say Kaiju. Whoops, sorry, wrong branding. Another Leviathan. Remember, Leviathan can mean like giant serpent, but Leviathan just means like giant sea creature. So a Kraken, which is a giant squid, can also be that. Also, jellyfishes can become really huge. So I don't think we want to say that. Where is he? Electric jellyfish is a Kraken. I wouldn't. I think he's just a jellyfish, because the original card literally just said jellyfish. But I do think these two and the Megalodon are Leviathan, are classified as Leviathans, because giant squid, giant sea serpent. But it's a cool little micro theme. Wasn't intentional? I don't think so. But it's cool nonetheless. And of course, another Leviathan-esque type of creature is, of course, the whale, because whales are huge. But Leviathans are supposed to be even huger than whales. That's kind of why they have that mythos. But either way, Mega Fortress Whale really helps on this deck. On the field, make you just attack directly. If it gets popped, it helps you go into the oh my goodness, the Fisherman line of cards. By the way, there's a reason why I say Fisherman is different, because if you do watch the 2 episodes of Mako Tsunami, I forgot his Japanese name, sorry, play, he wanted to play Fisherman because it was a card that his dad gave him, and his dad died at sea. So he didn't really care about the whole Yumi thing or anything like that. He was just like, oh, the card's my father. And he couldn't give up his father, so he lost the duel, basically. And Mega Fortress Whale helps you not only play the Yumi line with Leviathan, it helps you also play the Fisherman line if you want that. And when I say line, I don't mean there's a combo string. I just mean that the line of cards, you know. This card does help you on the turn 3 to finish out a game. It is 2,550. That matters because Yumi gives it 2 more points, and you'll be hitting them directly for 2,750. Also, he's a fish water. This is really interesting because the deck is Sea Serpent, Fish, and Aqua. Speaking of Aqua, we have my wife, Maiden of the Aqua, and I need a new copy of this card because there is a huge line that I accidentally gave her when I was younger. I've had this card since I was a kid, and then I think I played the game Duels of the Roses, or I could have got this card because of it. It was either or. I don't remember. I'm sorry, I just don't. But Maiden of the Aqua, and she has a cool effect, is why there's no face-up field spell. The full field becomes Yumi. That's literally it. Because if you go Dark Reef, get her out, and Kairyu-Shin, Kairyu-Shin is live, basically. I had a hard time deciding if I wanted this to be a Fisherman deck with Kairyu-Shin, if I wanted this to be a Kairyu-Shin only deck, if I wanted it to just be a Fisherman only deck. I wasn't too sure. Or maybe Kairyu-Shin could be a support in there. I honestly, if I had it my way, it would be a Maiden of the Aqua deck. That's kind of what this deck would be. But she is actually called, not Maiden of the Aqua, she is actually called Priestess of the Sea God, or Sea God's Priestess. And her retrain is called Yokiroshi, or something like that. Yokiroshi's Sea God. No, wait. Sea God's Yokiroshino, or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce that word, but it's basically another form of priestess, where she basically becomes the name of the card. So it helps 2 of the Yuumi strategies, actually. It does not help the other Yuumi strategy because of the fact that it is a effect monster. But it just helps reborn a monster, and it just helps become the name of a monster. It does not help with the Fisherman, though, because Fisherman needs a legendary Fisherman. Unless you're playing the original Fisherman, and then at that point just summon up that Fisherman to tribute that one off for Fisherman 3. So, yeah, tomato. It's kind of like this archetype's just a little similar to Red Eyes, just because it doesn't really have an identity. I think the whole Leviathan thing and the tribute summon thing, that should just be the identity. Either way, I decided to finally settle on it since this deck is supposed to be a control deck. I'll go ahead and add Rage of Kairyu-Shin and Fury of Kairyu-Shin as the final one-ofs for this deck. There is another one-of card you do see right here, but before we go into that, I just need you guys to know this. This is really funny if you have the OG Kairyu-Shin, regular Kairyu-Shin, because those are 2 pops you get, and those are 2 zones they can't use. It's, I'm going to say, not that good, sadly. And this card should be phenomenal. If there was some way to set this on board, and some way to play maybe more normal monsters without it being a brick, this could be a little Nibiru in your pocket, and it could be really annoying. I do like the effect of this card thematically, though. It's some splashing the water, and your opponent can't do much. It also helps if they do negate. It's never came up though. If they do negate the Kairyu-Shin, and then you flip this to pop 2 cards to just make them play less, basically. This deck is really stuck in Retrain Duelist Kingdom. They need to do Retrain Battle City for this deck. Fury of Kairyu-Shin. There should be more text down there for like 2 more or 1 more effect. All this card does is get out Torrential Tribute, really cool thematically, of course, because of the card art. He's making waves, all that cool stuff, whirlpools, yay. And this card banish itself so you can protect your monsters. And on that basis, it's really good. It's just kind of hard. Also, that's another thing. They did the Bones deck, and that was the Call of the Haunted deck. This should be the Torrential Tribute deck, and they should go harder on that next time. But we're going to go do the tech cards right now, and we're going to play a copy of Called by the Grave, because we cannot be caught slacking. Since this is a control-based deck, I want to limit my opponent more with Ash, 2 Bell, and 2 Imperm. I absolutely love this rarity. It looks so damn good right now on camera. And then, of course, I have a really cool secret rare, and it's too damn expensive to buy another one. What is it, like 15, 20? I don't know. I'm talking about from that set. I don't know if it's not or not. Either way. And, of course, the final 2 cards, because that's kind of what I'm playing. 2, 2, 2. The final 2 are 2 Torrential Tributes. Yay! I didn't know how to play this with this, and I was super confused on how to do that. Do I play this card at 3 to get a Torrential Tribute? Do I play 1 Torrential Tribute? It feels weird. This is what I kind of mean if they do new support for this deck, and I'm talking about Kairyu-Shin specifically. Make it the Torrential Tribute deck. Make it Yuumi and Torrential Tribute, but mainly Torrential Tribute and Kairyu-Shin, because I want to play a Kairyu-Shin deck. I want Kairyu-Shin to be my guy, basically. So these are all the tech cards. I do like Torrential Tribute. It is basically a big old bomb on the field, especially if they're trying to combo off and do their plays. You just bomb it all. Sadly, the engine is lacking, so this card is also kind of lacking. These are just good for all-around opponents. Same thing for this, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards for tech cards. 9 isn't that bad since we want to go first and set up our control board for our hand traps. Not for our hand traps, but basically just control our board. With that being said, the rest is the extra deck, and the truth is, since this is a main deck type of deck, you don't really need the extra deck. And you saw that I was playing Pot of Extravagance, so these are my targets. It is this guy. When he's sent to the graveyard, he does something. All these cards work by being sent to the graveyard and doing something. We even have Elder Entity Nests. We have this guy who's getting popular right now, and then we have this, And then we also have this. I'm not going to bother with the names or anything like that. You know what I will do? I will put the names in the description, actually. If you really want to buy these, they all do something when they hit the graveyard. It's mainly so I could side out and in the ultimate... I forgot what it was called. Ultimate something. Ultimate Punisher. Ultimate something. But the one with Appaloosa on it. The Goddess Bow one. Ultimate Slayer. That's what it was. These were Ultimate Slayer targets, but I said I want to mess around with Pot of Extravagance. And these are it. So that's why I said the deck doesn't really play the extra deck at all. However, this deck is really fun. And sadly, it needs more pure, at least, to push it more, not beyond its limits, just to make it more playable, because the deck does fight against itself, basically. I was watching a Applesauce video. If you don't know who that is, look him up. Type in like Yu-Gi-Oh! Applesauce or something like that. But, Apple Crisp. I think his name's Apple Crisp. And he was just doing a video about what does playable mean. And if your deck has to shoot itself in the foot, it is not a playable deck. And I'll tell you this right now. Or not has to shoot itself in the foot, but if it does shoot itself in the foot, just trying to play, that is not a playable deck. And I have to tell you, this deck is not playable under those definitions. Very sadly, because I really wanted this to be really playable. Because I was having really good success with the Phantasm Spiral deck. I would just stun my opponent. I felt a little bad, but I was like, well, they're kind of playing, high rogue, so / meta. But anyway, that's my deck pro for this deck. So like, comment, subscribe. I really hope they do give this deck just some justice, some good support. Recently, literally today, they gave Joey support. Yes, Joey has like his Battle City support. So I really wish Kairyu-Shin would have the same. But actually, you know what? I should put my wifey here. Sorry, Kairyu-Shin. Yay!